Well, good afternoon, West Ham fans. Let's have a good old dose of transfer rumours, shall we? Yes, everybody, Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well. Now, obviously, Russy B is suffering from very bad man flu at the moment. Well, I think it's probably proper flu rather than man flu, particularly when Mrs. Budden's got it. But anyway, so I was going to do this live, but because I'm going to be coughing and spluttering, that's why I thought I'd do it pre-recorded. And if there's a few jump cuts, that's probably why, because I paused it for a good old cough. Obviously, we've had quite the week on the West Ham Network with the likes of Glenn Balaguer talking about Julien Lopetegui in an exclusive interview for the West Ham Network, which is a really good interview. So if you haven't seen it, go and check it out. And obviously, lots of fallout because of that. One of the key things that he mentions is the fact that J-Lo will be a coach, and he's going to be head coach, not manager. And although he kept saying Sullivan, I mean, obviously Sullivan sounds the checks, but in essence, it's Tim Steinen who's going to be doing the transfers. And people have been saying, "Oh, well, how does that work?" Well, J-Lo will identify the types of players he's interested in, and in collaboration with Tim, and then Tim goes and finds them. And it does seem there's very much a pattern to the types of players we're looking at. By all accounts, according to Holly's show yesterday, up to 6 summer signings potentially. Could even be more, but it looks like left back, centre half, and striker, the 3 positions which are of particular interest. I would say right back and left wing as well, particularly, and maybe another central midfield to work alongside Edson Alvarez in the sort of 4-3-3 type formation that Jayla likes to play. But anyway, let's go through some rumours. For anyone new to the channel, we do the Russy Rumour rating, the original Rumour rating. And I thought we'll start it now because literally in the last 24 hours, there's been a shed load of rumours because agents are starting to, know that this is what's happening at West Ham and so are punting anyone they can. I'm not saying we're going to sign all these players. I think last year we did 160 rumours we covered. I am predicting this will surpass that this year just because of the need for bringing players in. So what I do, I give you the news, give you the article, and then I give you the Russy Rumour rating, the original Rumour rating score out of 10. How many Russies? So let's crack on like Donkey Kong and start with a man who maybe is a forgotten man in the English game, maybe Tammy Abrahams. Now we've been linked with a move for the Roma striker. Where is it? I've got to get my notes up now. According to HITC, he's open to return to England as well. And West Ham are looking at the possibility of bringing him in. Apparently, we had scouts at the game where he scored against Napoli in the end of April. And it's understood that we're going to be facing plenty of competition from the likes of Newcastle, Bournemouth, Palace, and Leicester City, to say the very, very least. He does seem to be a man in demand this year, not only because he's a decent striker, but also homegrown. And people ask what the definition of homegrown. The definition is you have to have played for an English club for 3 years before the age of 21. So despite the fact he's coming abroad, he's in Roma, he would have played under Chelsea's youth team for many, many years before he was 21. So that's where he counts and been registered for that. Now, they're looking to move him on potentially to finance a deal for Romelu Lukaku, who's going to cost around 30 million quid. He's got experience. He's only just returned from a cruciate ligament injury which is always a slight concern, having missed 40 games when he got it on the final day of the season last year. Last year, yeah, 22-23. In his first 2 seasons, he scored 17 goals in Serie A. And I think in terms of him as a fit, he reminds me a lot of another player we've been linked with later on, but he's homegrown. So that might justify maybe him coming over this other person. But as always, I'll wait until we get to that particular person. The Russy Rumour rating, the original rating, 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. Next on the list is Jota Silva, a person we've mentioned before. But apparently West Ham are willing to outmatch whatever the likes of Benfica and Brentford pay for him in terms of we're willing to pay his release clause now. Apparently, we are now prepared to shell out around 20 million euros after becoming aware of the competition for the Vitor de Guilherme's attacker. Brentford are reportedly willing to offer around 15 million euros for the 24-year-old, who is highly regarded by the opportunity to play in the Premier League, but hasn't ruled out obviously staying with Benfica, who is a club obviously of great magnitude in Portugal. This guy has a real sort of J-Lo type look about him in terms of the types of players we wanted to bring in, particularly on that left-hand side. He's been capped twice for Portugal, and he's someone I think could have a real impact. He's got 1 year left in his contract, so there's a chance of a significant discount from, his market value, so to speak. And I mean, this year, 15 goals and 7 assists in Liga NOS, and highly regarded. And if we get him for 17 million quid, I think it's absolute bloody steal. Absolute bloody steal. And by all accounts, we're willing to. I mean, Brentford only want to pay 12.5, 30 million. We're looking to, to gazump them, and I think it should be one of our prime targets this season. It does seem with that sort of left wing side, we've got several targets we're looking at. We'll talk about a few as we're going through, but I like the look of Jota, and in terms of the Russy Rumour rating, the original Rumour rating, 7 out of 10. Ooh. And that report apparently was according to Oyogo. There we go. Now, Anton mentioned yesterday about Wilfried Zaha, and apparently we're reigniting our interest in him. We reportedly were after him in January, but a move was turned down by David Moyes. There is obviously, there is bad blood, so to speak, between him and Wilfried, apparently, if rumours are led to be believed. But he could be a key signing for J-Lo, and he might even be the first signing for the Lopetegui era. According to News Up Brown, West Ham officials recently met with Zaha's representatives in London, and we were the only club he was talking to. So interesting to see. His contract extends until the 26-27 season at Galatasaray, and he's apparently on 4.5 million euros a year. He's bagged 10 goals in 36 appearances this season. And yes, he is 31. But I will say the famous words, homegrown. Well done, Tommy Budden. Tommy Budden, when we were talking about it last night, he said, but he's homegrown. And we know we can bring. We know Jota Silva has more potential. But if you can get Zaha for a decent fee, we know he's going to bring to the table. We know he's got Premier League experience. So and that's what we're saying. Although he might not seem like a Tim Steinen type signing, if you refer back to the Brighton model, yes, they go out and get all these, Carlos Babé and people like that. They still ain't got like James Milner and Premier League. You do need a spine. You can't put a complete untested side together, in my opinion. So someone like Wilfried Zaha could be a useful addition to the squad, particularly. That being said, as we said yesterday, Said Ben Rama is apparently could be getting a reprieve and a second chance coming back from his loan from Lyon. But I could see a move for Zaha being on the cards. He's an exciting player. And you got to think, if Paqueta leaves, Kudus doesn't work on that left-hand side. Kudus can move to a 10 role, Zaha on the left, Bowen on the right, and a striker up front. They ain't fucking bad side of turn. That is a scary side for any defence. The Russy Rumour rating, the original Rumour rating, 8 out of 10. Who's next? Us. A forward. Let's start talking with some forwards. West Ham, Newcastle, and Wolves are in the pitch to sign Union Sangali's striker Mohamed Amora. That's Amora, according to L'Equipe. The striker joined the Pro League club from Swiss side FC Lugano last summer and has started his debut season, 22 goals and 6 assists. We were linked with him in January, you might remember him. This 28 goal involvement season has obviously alerted the likes of several European clubs, including the mighty West Ham United, as well as people like Newcastle and farther afield as well. Eintracht Frankfurt and Wolfsburg are also interested in him. L'Equipe states that Union Sangali's paid €3 million to buy him, and now his value has rocketed to around €20 million after becoming a big sensation. A big sensation in Belgium. Last month, claims from West Ham stated the Hammers have made an offer of €15 million, €5 million short of their demand. I can see us going back in for him. He's a very quick player. I don't know if he'd fit. He's not as tall as some as I think J-Lo would really want in that sort of 9 position, but could be an interesting, alternative. We shall see. The Russy Rumour rating, the original Rumour rating, 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. Let's talk about Wesley, a player we've been linked to reasonably heavily in the last month or so. Gol Brazil shares latest update on his future. They claim the club has set a new price tag, as they can see a bit of an auction happening for Wesley this season. According to the Brazilian news outlet, Corinthians now want €30 million. That amount they consider he wouldn't be able to turn down in the case the offer shows up. The report points out that West Ham tried to sign him, and we placed a €15 million offer apparently on the table, and that was turned down by the club at the time. The Hammers, Atletico Madrid, Real Betis are all interested in bringing him in. It remains to be seen if any of them will hit that €30 million. What's funny is, there was when Corinthians first turned down our €15 million offer, there was a lot of disbelief amongst the Brazilian press of why they didn't just take the money and run. Apparently, players had lots of ups and downs so far, and they thought that the club should have taken it. It was a reasonable sum. And then, in true form, the 19-year-old ended up scoring a couple of beautiful goals against Fluminense, and that's just changed everything, So it seems a crazy amount for a 19-year-old, but we know the price these players can make. We're going to talk about one in a tick as well, in terms of a guy who's gone to Barcelona and what he's worth now. So you can see the Pearl Diver maybe going for this one. I just think the money's, I think the €30 million, 50-50. 5 out of 10 on the Russy Rumour rating, the original Rumour rating. Who's next? Let's talk about Antonio Nusa. Apparently, according to Hit Lasken News, West Ham have sent scouts to watch Club Bruges' several matches for Club Bruges this season, particularly their Conference League clash with PAOK in April. And it's believed we were there to run the rule on Antonio Nusa, who's a striker forward who continues to be linked with moves to the Premier League after a foul move to Brentford in January. According to Hunt Nusenblad, West Ham are one of 16 clubs to have scouts following Club Bruges' Conference League semi-final clash against Fiorentina as well. And officials from West Ham, Barcelona, AC Milan, PSV, and Ajax will be in attendance to watch that game. There's no mentioning exactly in terms of the players mentioned, but Antonio Nusa is someone of particular interest to West Ham. Very good player. And as I said, foul move from Brentford in January. And he's one of those players who's always on the peripherals of going to that big club. And he hasn't gone to that big club yet. So we'll wait and see if it's West Ham this year. The Russy Rumour rating, I've given it a 6 out of 10 because it fits the profile of the type of player we're trying to look at. Now, one name who always comes up with transfer windows is Youssef En-Nesyri. Could we be getting Youssef En-Nesyri this summer? He's been linked to West Ham in every single transfer window over the last few years. He's a player that Moyes always had a hard on for, and we know he's got a very good relationship with Lopetegui, having played under him at Sevilla. And apparently, we've been told by several sources that the 26-year-old is the striker that J-Lo wants West Ham to sign this summer. Considering we've already had some interaction with him, I can see this one happening. In all honesty, this time round, we've got a situation where Sevilla need to sell him, apparently, to finance their transfer activity. According to a transfer insider, they said that he is one of Lopetegui's favourite players, and the Hammers like him also. We've been scouting him for so long. I expect this news to be out there anyway, but he is the striker on the list. He missed some games while at the AFCONs with Morocco, but he's got an excellent goal scoring record, almost 1 in 2. 15 goals in 30 starts for Sevilla in La Liga and Champions League. 13 of those goals came in Europe. He would be the cornerstone to the J-Lo setup. And with someone like Bowen on the right, someone like Zaha on left or another Kudus behind him, that's a fucking tasty side. Fucking tasty side. Russy B, 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Next up, a player we were linked to actually a while ago before he moved to Barcelona. And that's the Brazilian striker, 19-year-old Brazilian striker, Vitor Roque. According to a report by Claret Hugh, Vitor Roque is a subject of interest from West Ham once again, as well as Chelsea and Man United also keen on signing the Brazilian Barcelona whiz kid in the summer. He's contemplating leaving Barcelona. He's had quite a frustrating time since joining from Atletico Paranaense in January. The Brazilian international would have hoped to be playing more regularly for Barcelona. However, game time has become a bit of a premium from him. He's turned out 13 times this season for Barcelona, managing only 310 minutes, but chipping in with 2 goals. Xavi, the Barcelona manager, hasn't handed him a start, and he is potentially looking to move on. His agent apparently has been courting him around Premier League sides. He's raised around 50 million quid. But according to the report, a loan deal could be the more appropriate situation. He's still relatively untested, 19. And coming from Barcelona, you can be paying a premium. So actually, a loan deal could be something which we look at. It's a player we've looked at before, particularly when Tim was doing his sort of Brazilian trip in January. He was a player of particular interest before signing for Barcelona. In terms of the Russy Rumour rating, the original Rumour rating, I only give it a 3 out of 10. Just because unless it's a loan deal, we ain't going to go close to that money in terms of that. Next up, a case for the defence. And an old name returns to the Premier League, apparently. West Ham are showing interest in Galatasaray defender Davinson Sanchez this summer. It's reported that West Ham are eyeing up a move to bring the former Tottenham Hotspur centre-back back to England. He's had a solid campaign for the Turkish club this year. He's played 30 games, scoring 3 goals, 2 assists in multiple competitions. Impressive stats over his time this season in the Turkish Super League. And a decent ball retention, 83% pass completion rate. His contract runs out in the summer of 2027. We know he's a tough tackling centre half. The Colombian international obviously knows the Premier League well as well. And at 27, he's entering the prime, really, in terms of his career at West, his career in terms of footballing career. Personally, I think there's probably better options out there than Davinson Sanchez, in all honesty. For example, I'd rather spend money on Max Kilman, for example. I think being homegrown as well, and fitting that left berth quite nicely. But he's another player of interest. And obviously, we're talking to Galatasaray in terms of Wilfried Zaha, so maybe they're doing a double deal. Who knows? Russy B gives it 50-50, 5 out of 10. Next up, he was in the press this morning. Let's talk about the Real Madrid loanee Joselu. Apparently, Lopetegui is keen on him, and the Hammers are expected to explore a loan move for the 34-year-old international. This isn't going to happen. Just saying, this isn't going to happen. But it's been reported. I mean, look, we've got Mikel Antonio, who's 34, so we're not going to get another bloody 34-year-old striker, are we, in all honesty? This one is pure paper talk. I'm not even going to give it even the benefit of the doubt. It doesn't even get a Russy Rumour rating. Doesn't even get one. Let's talk about Juan Miranda, the Real Betis left back. Apparently, West Ham, we've been hot on the trail for the Spanish left back this season. His contract, the 24-year-old, expires at the end of the season, and he's a prime target for clubs seeking to improve their defensive reinforcements, of which West Ham is one of them. He's had a great season this season for Real Betis. Dependable, 28 appearances in all competitions. Really good defensive stats, and a well-rounded player. Offers a really good attacking prowess going forward as well. 82% pass completion rate, and left back and potentially left centre back cover as well. 24. This is an absolute nailed on. This should happen. This should happen without a shadow of a doubt. We need reinforcements quick, and he gets a 7 out of 10 from Russy B. And last but no means least, another winger, where Italian media outlets reporting the West Ham among the clubs eyeing Sassuolo winger Armand Lorient for a summer transfer. The Hammers are reportedly face competition from the likes of Spurs, Juventus, and other Serie A sides for the French player's signature. Been in fine form this year, delivering some strong offensive performances, 5 goals and 5 assists in 34 appearances. His contract at Sassuolo runs out in 2027, so we'll have to present a quite compelling offer if they are serious about securing our services. Despite interest, obviously, this is what I mean. Someone like him or Zaha, there's definitely an area we're looking at bringing some bodies in that left-hand side. And I think Zaha would make sense from a squad perspective and a homegrown perspective, but from an age perspective and a pearl diver perspective and a return on investment, someone like Armand Lorient is, and he's got a great name as well, would be a useful addition. It's an exciting crop of players we've been linked to already, and we should be excited, I think, for what's coming up this season. This is, I mean, he gets 6 out of 10. I mean, so far, you look at some of those names of players we've been linked with, and they're all really, I mean, maybe apart from maybe Davinson Sanchez, most of them, I think, are really exciting players, and we should be excited because it's the start of a new era, and also this will be the first era where Tim's got full reign. There isn't a veto. That's what Moisey always had. Moisey always had a veto to all the transfers, so Tim was sort of hamstrung. It's not surprising now it's all happening, and Moyes has gone that Tim is going full reign now and looking at these players and bringing in players. Maybe he wanted to bring it in January. A lot of these players, 2 or 3 of them, we were linked to in January. And now we can bring them in. And wouldn't it be a piss take if we got bloody Yusuf and Nesri after out 4 years and boys trying to get him? But you can see it happening, couldn't you? Anyway, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? What do you think? It's a good start. As I said, I predict us getting over about 200 names by the end of the transfer window, but we'll keep abreast of the situation. If you're new around here, don't forget to like, comment, share, all that good stuff. Go back and watch the Glennie Balaga interview. If you haven't seen it already, it's very, very good. And until next time, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith. And I'm going to go and have a lie down. Much love.